The moment a person knows they are being watched, they stop behaving naturally. A camera appears, a mirror reflects, a notification arrives. A profile begins tracking, an audience forms, and slowly, something changes, not just behavior. Identity itself begins adapting to observation. You smile differently, speak differently, think differently. Eventually, you become someone designed to be perceived. What if modern consciousness is no longer authentic consciousness? What if it has become performance? Welcome to Mysterious Encounters. Tonight, we investigate surveillance, performance, self-monitoring, and the terrifying psychological consequences of living under constant observation. This is the observer effect. Scientists discovered something strange long ago. Observation changes outcomes. Particles behave differently when measured. Animals behave differently when watched. Humans behave differently under surveillance. The moment awareness enters a system, the system transforms. Modern civilization has scaled this principle infinitely. Cameras everywhere, metrics everywhere, profiles everywhere, algorithms recording behavior endlessly, but the deepest surveillance is no longer external. It is internalized. People begin watching themselves constantly. How they look, how they sound, how they appear, how they will be perceived. The watcher moves inside the mind, and once this happens, natural behavior starts disappearing. Social media accelerated something psychologically unprecedented. For most of human history, people experienced identity privately. Now identity is continuously performed. Meals become content, thoughts become posts, experiences become stories, emotions become signals for engagement. People no longer simply live moments. They partially experience them through imagined observation. How will this look? How will this perform? How will this be perceived? This creates a fracture, the authentic self, the projected self, the optimized self, the hidden self, and eventually, many people can no longer distinguish between them. The performance becomes permanent. The machine does not merely observe you, it reflects you back to yourself. Algorithms study your reactions, your pauses, your insecurities, your desires, your emotional vulnerabilities. Then they construct a mirror, not an accurate mirror, an optimized one. You begin seeing yourself through metrics, engagement, views, validation, digital reflection, and slowly, identity becomes recursive. People adapt themselves to the version the algorithm rewards. The observer effect deepens. Consciousness reshapes itself around visibility. There was once a version of human life that existed unrecorded. Conversations disappeared naturally. Mistakes faded. Moments belonged only to memory. Now modern systems preserve everything. Messages, searches, photos, locations, emotional patterns. Nothing fully disappears anymore. And psychologically, this changes people profoundly. Because permanent visibility creates permanent self-consciousness. Humans become cautious, curated, predictable. The machine does not need to punish everyone. It only needs people to believe they might be watched. That possibility alone alters behavior. This is the architecture of modern surveillance. The deepest consequence of constant observation is fragmentation. A person begins splitting internally: observer, performer, critic, projection, hidden consciousness, even alone. Many people continue performing unconsciously. The audience remains alive inside the mind. And eventually, silence becomes uncomfortable because without observation, some people no longer know who they are. The observer effect has fully integrated into consciousness itself. This is why modern anxiety feels different. It is not merely fear of judgment, it is exhaustion from continuous self-monitoring. The nervous system was never designed for permanent visibility. The fracture begins healing in private moments, walking without documenting, creating without posting. Thinking without performing, existing without optimization. At first, this feels strangely empty, then uncomfortable, then freeing, because authentic consciousness requires unobserved space, not secrecy, Privacy. There is a difference. The machine fears unobserved existence deeply, because people who reconnect with themselves outside visibility become harder to predict, harder to manipulate, harder to optimize. The observer loses control once consciousness stops performing for it. The observer effect is no longer a scientific principle, it is modern civilization itself, a world where everyone watches, everyone performs, and the authentic self slowly disappears beneath layers of visibility, but the self can still return, quietly, privately, outside the metrics, outside the audience, outside the machine, because perhaps the most rebellious act left in modern life is learning how to exist without being perceived. This has been the Fracture Files, and perhaps the greatest illusion of the modern age is believing constant visibility has no effect on the soul.